The morning began like any other day. Children walked to school. People hurried to work. The world moved in its usual rhythm, unaware that this day would be written in every human record forever. The sun rose gently, the air was calm, and everything felt ordinary, until the sky began to change. At first, it was only a shimmer. Pilots in different countries reported strange metallic glows beyond the upper atmosphere. Then the glow multiplied. Within minutes, telescopes caught the impossible sight. Hundreds of objects descended together, breaking through the atmosphere like silver comets. Panic followed confusion. Governments scrambled to understand what was happening. Space agencies confirmed what no one wanted to believe. These were not meteors. They were ships, massive, cold, and alien. Each was larger than a city, moving in perfect formation. The Galactic Empire had arrived. Every news station on Earth went live. People stared at their screens in disbelief as the alien fleet surrounded the planet. Their ships floated above clouds like dark gods. Their weapons glowed faintly blue. The world held its breath. In an underground command base buried deep beneath the mountains of Alaska, Commander Elias Ward stood in silence, watching the main display. His hair was gray, his face calm, but his eyes burned with quiet fire. He had expected this. For years, Earth had intercepted distant signals, warnings that someone out there had noticed humanity's growth. But few had believed him. Now it was too late for disbelief. Elias turned to his officers. Begin global lockdown. Move civilians underground. Connect me to all world leaders. The room filled with urgent voices and moving lights. On the screens, the alien flagship broadcast a message in hundreds of languages. The voice was deep, mechanical, and cold. This is the Imperial Dominion. Your planet has violated our territorial boundary. You will surrender your resources, your armies, and your sovereignty. Resistance means extermination. No one could answer. The power of the fleet was terrifying. Hundreds of massive vessels hovered above every major city: New York, Tokyo, London, Cairo. Their shadows darkened the ground. The Empire did not attack yet. They were waiting for humanity to kneel. In the command base, one young officer whispered, "Commander, what do we do?" Elias looked at the sky camera feeds. Flames began to rise where the Empire fired small warning shots, destroying aircraft and communication towers. The sky was burning. Humanity was watching its own helplessness. But Elias did not panic. Instead, he walked to a sealed chamber at the back of the room. The door recognized his DNA and slid open. Inside was a silent, glowing console. It was Earth's greatest secret, Project Horizon. Years ago, after first contact signals were detected, hidden alliances had formed between nations. The goal was to prepare, not for peace, but for survival. Under oceans, deserts, and ice, something had been built. Something the rest of the world had never known existed. Elias placed his hand on the console. Activate Horizon Protocol. Authorization required, the system replied. Elias Ward. Commander. ID 01. A pause followed. Then the system's voice changed tone. Project Horizon acknowledged. Initiating awakening sequence. Deep below the Pacific Ocean, the Earth itself began to shake. Seismic sensors around the world triggered alarms. Civilian news feeds switched to live ocean views. Something massive was rising from the depths. The alien fleet noticed it too. Their scanners detected enormous energy readings from beneath the surface. One of the alien admirals laughed in his cold metallic tongue. Pathetic creatures are trying to hide. Destroy their oceans. Dozens of alien cruisers redirected their cannons toward the Pacific. Blue plasma beams cut through clouds and water, boiling the sea into steam. But then everything stopped. A deep hum filled the air, a sound that vibrated across continents. The waves pulled back for miles. And then, from the depths, something emerged. It was not a ship. It was not a mountain. It was something beyond both. An enormous black structure rose higher and higher until it pierced the clouds. The water around it turned to mist. Lightning danced across its surface. Humanity had just revealed its last and greatest defense. The Aegis Citadel. From orbit, the alien sensors malfunctioned. Their systems could not scan it. Their codes began to fail. Communications jammed. The Empire's admiral shouted orders, but nothing responded. Elias watched through satellite feeds. "Status?" he asked. "Citadel is powering up," one officer said, voice trembling. "All systems online." The Citadel's main surface opened, revealing lines of glowing light, veins of fire running through metal. It was alive. In the alien flagship, confusion turned to fear. "What is that?" an officer cried. The admiral frowned. "A primitive weapon. Nothing more. Erase it." But as he gave the command, the Citadel responded. A single sphere of golden energy formed at its core and pulsed once, softly, almost gently. Then, without warning, the entire alien sky filled with light. Every alien ship within Earth's orbit froze mid-air. Their engines died. Their shields melted. Time itself seemed to hold still. From the surface, people saw the sky blazing white and gold. In that single moment, Earth had answered the Empire's threat. When the light faded, the alien fleet still hung there, but now silent. Systems dead. Engines cold. Elias stood straight and whispered, "You wanted war. You will remember what that means." The camera zoomed on his face, calm, determined, human. The world had been attacked. But humanity had just awakened something the stars had long forgotten. Its will to survive. And above the burning sky, as clouds parted and the Citadel rose into the sunlight, every living person on Earth knew one truth. The fight for humanity's existence had just begun. The world stood still as the ocean steam faded. Across continents, billions watched the impossible structure rise from the Pacific. It was like watching a god awaken from the deep. The Aegis Citadel stood taller than mountains, made of black alloy that shimmered like liquid under sunlight. Its surface pulsed with faint blue veins of light, alive, breathing, waiting. From the top of the command tower, glowing lines ran outward, connecting to invisible fields that circled the planet. In the global command center, Commander Elias Ward did not blink. He stared at the satellite feed as the Citadel's energy readings climbed higher, beyond all known science. Every gauge turned red. Every warning flashed. "Sir," said the officer beside him, voice shaking, "it's generating energy equivalent to a small star." Elias nodded calmly. "Good. That means it remembers." The Aegis Citadel was not just a weapon. It was something older, smarter, and far more dangerous. Built in secret for 40 years, it was powered by human ingenuity and a fragment of alien technology found long ago, an artifact buried beneath Antarctica, older than any civilization. Humans had studied it quietly, learned from it, and built this fortress to defend their world. But now it was time to see if their creation truly worked. High above Earth, the Imperial fleet began to recover from the sudden energy wave that had disabled their systems. Massive ships, armored, spiked, and glowing blue, rebooted their shields. Admiral Carther of the 9th Star Legion growled in frustration. His kind had never faced defeat. "Report," he ordered coldly. 72 ships unresponsive, Admiral," replied his second-in-command. "Their cores are frozen. They do not respond to commands." Carther slammed his metal fist on the console. "Then destroy that thing rising from the ocean before it destroys us." The alien fleet reformed its formation and descended toward the Pacific. Blue plasma fire lit the sky again, raining destruction down on the ocean. Waves exploded miles high. Lightning spread through clouds. But the Citadel did not fall. Instead, its surface absorbed the energy like water soaking into sand. The blue veins grew brighter, humming with strange resonance. Then a sound echoed across the planet, a deep, vibrating tone that passed through the air, the ground, and every heartbeat. Inside the command base, one technician covered his ears. "What is that sound?" Elias looked up. "It's speaking." The Citadel was not just metal and power. It had an artificial mind, a guardian intelligence built to protect humanity from extinction. It spoke in signals no human ear could understand. But Elias understood one thing. It was fully awake. "Target lock on all hostile ships," he said. "Engage defensive sequence." From the Citadel's surface, thousands of circular panels opened. They looked like glowing eyes, each forming an energy field that bent light itself. In an instant, beams of white light shot upward through the sky. Every beam hit an alien ship, perfectly precise. No sound followed. No explosion. Just silence. Then the ships began to vanish. One by one, the Empire's vessels disintegrated, turning into dust that drifted like ash through the clouds. "Status?" Elias asked. 37 ships neutralized," said the officer, voice trembling. "No debris detected. They're gone." "Good," Elias said softly. "Let them know Earth bleeds no more." In orbit, Admiral Carther watched in disbelief as half his fleet disappeared. His hands shook as he stared at the screen. "This cannot be real," he whispered. "No primitive world has this power." His ship's AI responded flatly, energy source unmatched. Probability of victory, 0. Carther snarled. "Then we take their commander with us." He ordered his last warships to focus fire directly on Alaska, where Earth's command base was located. But before their cannons could ignite, space itself began to distort behind them. From nowhere, a shadow appeared. A massive object phased into existence. The Aegis Citadel, no longer in the ocean, but in orbit, directly behind the Imperial flagship. Its engines glowed like suns. Its armor reflected starlight. Humanity's fortress now floated among the stars. Inside his bridge, Carther shouted, "Impossible! They teleported that monstrosity." On the Citadel's command deck, Elias stood tall, looking through the observation glass at the enemy fleet. His voice was calm as he activated the next command. "Halia, open a channel." Static filled the speakers. Then his voice echoed across every alien ship. "You came to erase us. You called us primitive. You thought we would beg for mercy. But humanity does not kneel. Humanity remembers. And now, humanity answers." Carther roared. "Fire all weapons." The alien ships unleashed everything they had: plasma, antimatter, sonic waves. But none of it reached the Citadel. It stood untouched, surrounded by a golden energy field that rippled like water. Elias gave the final order. "Return fire." The Citadel's core began to glow brighter than the sun. A column of pure white light erupted from its center, slicing through the enemy formation. The beam spread, expanding into a silent wave that swallowed the entire fleet. Every alien ship turned to vapor in seconds. Then silence. In that vast, quiet space, stars twinkled again. The Imperial fleet, which had darkened Earth's skies, no longer existed. Only the Citadel remained, shining like a guardian above the planet. On Earth, people stepped outside their shelters and looked up. The clouds cleared. Sunlight returned. For the first time in centuries, humanity had won a war before it even truly began. But Elias did not celebrate. He looked at the empty sky on the monitor and whispered, "They will come again. And next time, they will not underestimate us." The Citadel drifted silently in orbit, its lights dimming to standby mode. Watching. Waiting. The battle was over. But the war had just begun. Above Earth, the sky was calm once more. The ocean stopped boiling. The smoke over cities began to clear. But the silence that followed was not peace. It was the kind of silence that made even the stars seem afraid to speak. The Imperial fleet, the pride of 1,000 worlds, was gone. Vaporized. Not a single ship remained. In the orbiting wreckage field, tiny pieces of metal drifted like ash, glowing faintly as the sun's light touched them, then fading into nothing. It was as if the universe itself had erased the memory of the Empire's invasion. Inside the Aegis Citadel, Commander Elias Ward stood on the observation bridge, staring into the void. His face was calm, but his heart felt heavy. He had saved Earth, but at what cost? The energy they had unleashed had changed something deeper than the battlefield. The Citadel's AI, known as Halia, spoke softly behind him. "Commander, I detect unusual gravitational ripples across the local star systems." "Define unusual," Elias replied. The destruction of the Imperial fleet sent a pulse through subspace. "It has been detected by other civilizations. Many of them." Elias exhaled slowly. Then the galaxy now knows humanity exists. On the planet below, people were celebrating. Streets filled with joy and tears. Families embraced. For the first time, humanity had not just survived an alien invasion, it had won. The image of the glowing citadel above the clouds became a symbol of hope, shared across every screen, every nation. But in the dark corners of the cosmos, hope was not what others saw. To the rest of the galaxy, humanity had just committed the greatest act of defiance ever known. Far beyond the solar system, in the halls of the Galactic Dominion Council, ancient beings gathered around a holographic display. The Empire's destruction flickered before them. These were the rulers of 1,000 empires, creatures who had never feared anything until now. One of them, a tall being made of blue crystal, leaned forward. "A new power has risen from a dust world," it said in a cold, echoing tone. Their weapon erased an entire fleet in seconds. Another, with golden skin and 6 glowing eyes, hissed. "Humans! They were not supposed to have such knowledge. Who gave it to them?" No one answered. The council room filled with uneasy silence. Finally, the eldest among them spoke, a being whose mind could bend gravity. "Find them. Study them. Or destroy them. For if they learn to leave their world, none of us will be safe." Back near Earth, the citadel drifted silently above the atmosphere. Its glowing edges faded into darkness as it recharged. In its command chamber, Elias stood alone, looking at a holographic map of nearby star systems. Halia's voice broke the silence again. "Commander, long-range sensors detect faint transmissions. Unknown origin. Estimated distance, 50 light-years. Are they responding to the battle?" "Yes." "And they are not Imperial." Elias frowned. "Send out a message. Something simple." "What message shall I transmit?" Elias thought for a long moment, then said quietly, "Tell them this, we do not seek war. But if war comes again, humanity will not fall." The AI paused. Then in a soft tone, it asked, "Do you think they will listen?" Elias turned toward the glass, watching the stars. "They'll listen. Because the stars themselves heard what we did today." Meanwhile, deep in the asteroid belts of the outer system, something else stirred. A hidden outpost, long abandoned, powered on for the first time in centuries. Old human technology blinked alive, connecting to the Citadel signal. Files unlocked. Voices from the past echoed in the static. "Project Horizon. Phase 2 authorization detected," said an automated voice. "Preparing next sequence." The outpost's machinery began to move, ancient engines turning, satellites aligning. A beam of data shot toward the Citadel. Halia spoke immediately. "Commander, we are receiving a coded transmission from an old Horizon facility. The message is ancient, classified by your predecessor." Elias's eyes narrowed. "Play it." A voice filled the command room. It was old, distant, and unmistakably human. "If you are hearing this, then Earth has survived the first contact. But you must know, the Citadel was never the final weapon. There is something greater. Something sleeping beyond the edge of the system. If humanity is to endure, you must awaken it." The message ended in static. Elias stood motionless. "Something greater," he whispered. Halia's light pulsed softly. "Commander, the message includes coordinates. Shall we investigate?" He hesitated, looking again at Earth below. The people were rebuilding, celebrating, living. To leave now would mean facing the unknown. But to stay would mean waiting for the next invasion. Elias turned back to the console. "Prepare a scout vessel. We leave at dawn." Outside the viewport, the Citadel slowly rotated, reflecting sunlight across its metallic hull. It looked peaceful, but the void around it seemed to grow darker, as if the universe itself was watching. From the farthest stars, unseen eyes observed. Empires whispered. Legends began to spread through the galactic networks. The lost world that destroyed the Empire, they called it by a new name. Not Earth. Not Terra. They called it the Silent Star. And in that silence, as the Citadel prepared to travel into the deep, one truth echoed in every human heart. The war had ended. But humanity's story among the stars had just begun. The night over Earth was calm again. From every continent, people looked up and saw the Aegis Citadel shining like a new star in the sky. To them, it was a symbol of hope. To the galaxy, it was a warning. But Commander Elias Ward knew the calm would not last. Deep inside the Citadel's command deck, holographic screens displayed distant star systems, each blinking red. Unknown signals were spreading through the void. Someone was watching. Someone was preparing. Halia's voice echoed through the chamber. "Commander, the scout vessel is ready. Shall I initiate departure sequence?" Elias nodded slowly. "Yes. Bring us to the coordinates from the Horizon transmission." The massive fortress began to move. Its thrusters glowed softly, bending the light around them. Slowly, the Aegis Citadel rose from Earth's orbit, crossing the dark expanse toward the edge of the solar system. Down below, billions watched as their guardian disappeared into the night sky. Some whispered prayers. Others simply stared in awe. Humanity had looked up at the stars for centuries, dreaming. Now, for the first time, it was the stars that were watching them. The journey was silent. Days passed, then weeks. The Citadel crossed the Kuiper Belt, leaving behind the light of the sun. Ahead was only darkness, and something ancient. Halia's sensors picked up faint structures hidden in the shadow of a frozen moon. They looked like ruins, but they emitted power. "Commander," the AI said quietly, "we have arrived. This facility is human in origin, but the technology is not." Elias narrowed his eyes. "Show me." The holographic map expanded, revealing a massive ring buried in the ice, miles wide, pulsing faintly blue. It had been there for centuries, untouched and unseen. "Project Horizon. Phase 2, Halia whispered. "Codename, Ark of Dawn." Elias stared at the data feed. "So it's real." He guided the Citadel closer. Ice cracked and scattered as the fortress descended. For the first time in recorded history, the Ark of Dawn awakened. Its central spire glowed, sending signals directly into the Citadel systems. "System connection established," Halia said. "They're communicating with us." The Citadel's main screen flickered, and a new voice filled the command deck. It was deep, calm, and unmistakably human. "To whoever commands this vessel, we left this message for you. Humanity's survival was never about hiding. It was about waiting. The Ark holds our greatest creation, a gift and a warning. If you have awakened it, the galaxy already knows your name. Prepare for what comes next." The message ended. The Ark's surface split open, revealing a sphere of golden light. Energy flowed into the Citadel like a heartbeat. Systems lit up brighter than ever before. "Halia," Elias asked, gripping the console, "what's happening?" "Integration complete," she said. "The Citadel's power has increased tenfold. Commander, we now control a subspace network, an ancient channel connecting thousands of worlds." Elias realized what that meant. "We can speak to them," he whispered. Halia confirmed. "Yes, Commander. The entire galaxy can hear us." For a long moment, Elias said nothing. He looked through the glass at the endless darkness, so full of stars, so full of danger. He thought about the lives lost on Earth, the people rebuilding below, and the unknown powers gathering in the distance. Then he made his decision. "Open the channel," he said. "Channel open. Transmission ready." Elias stepped forward. His voice would now echo through every empire, every system, every hidden moon across the galaxy. The entire universe would hear humanity speak for the first time. He began softly, his tone calm but strong. "To all who listen beyond these stars, we are humanity. You came to destroy us. You thought we were small. You thought we would break." He paused, looking down at his trembling hand, then back up. "You were wrong. We are the children of struggle. We built light out of darkness. You erased one of us, and 1,000 rose in their place. We do not seek war, but we will never kneel again." Across distant star systems, alien rulers froze as the message reached them. They had expected fear. They heard something else. Conviction. "You call yourselves gods among stars," Elias continued. "But remember this. When the Empire came for us, we erased them in seconds. If any of you wish to test us again, come. We will be waiting. He lowered his voice. To those who wish for peace, come too. The door is open. For the first time, humanity stands ready to join the stars. Not as slaves, as equals. He stopped speaking. The silence that followed stretched across the void like eternity. Then Halia spoke. Transmission complete, Commander. The message has been heard. Everywhere. Elias stepped back, his eyes reflecting the faint glow of the stars. Then our story begins, he said softly. In the days that followed, strange things happened across the galaxy. On distant worlds, alien populations watched the transmission in silence. Some feared. Some cheered. A few, hidden far from power, whispered with awe, "Humans! They are real!" In the dark corners of space, fleets began to move, some toward Earth, some away from it. Ancient archives reactivated. Forgotten alliances stirred. The galaxy was changing, and humanity had become its new question. Back inside the Citadel, Halia's tone softened. "Commander, we are receiving thousands of messages. Some offer peace. Some offer threats." Elias smiled faintly. "That sounds like the universe I know." He turned toward the window. The stars stretched before him, countless, endless. Humanity was no longer confined to one small world. It had become something larger, something unstoppable. He whispered quietly, almost to himself, "They declared war on Earth. And we answered." The Citadel's lights pulsed gently, like a heartbeat. Somewhere in the depths of space, an ancient fleet began to turn toward the human world. The galaxy had heard humanity's voice. Now it was deciding how to respond. And somewhere, on a distant throne of crystal and shadow, a being older than stars opened its eyes for the first time in millennia. It had heard the transmission. And it was not pleased. The response came sooner than expected. 3 days after humanity's broadcast, Halia detected a formation of vessels approaching the outer edge of the solar system. Not imperial. Not like any known configuration. They were organic, ships that looked like living creatures, pulsing with bioluminescence, their hulls breathing as they moved. "Unknown vessels," Halia reported. 42 ships. They are not responding to hails. Elias studied the tactical display. Weapons. None detected. But they are emitting a signal, a repeating pattern. It appears to be a greeting. Elias frowned. A greeting from unknown aliens who had crossed the void immediately after humanity declared itself to the galaxy. It could be peace. It could be reconnaissance. It could be a trap. "Open a channel," he said. "Channel open. This is Commander Elias Ward of the Aegis Citadel. You have entered human space. Identify yourselves and state your purpose." Static. Then a voice, soft, layered, like multiple beings speaking in unison. "We are the Mirelli. We heard your song across the dark. We came to listen with our own ears." Elias exchanged a glance with his officers. "You came because we destroyed an empire. We came because you destroyed an empire and then offered peace instead of conquest. That is rare. That is valuable." The Mirelli ships did not advance further. They held position at the edge of the system, patient and waiting. Elias made a decision. Allow them to send a delegation. One ship. Unarmed. They can dock at the Citadel's secondary bay. "Commander," Halia warned, "this is unprecedented. We have no protocols for." "I know," Elias said. "That's why we need to start making them." The Mirelli delegation was smaller than expected. 3 beings, each no larger than a human child, their translucent bodies shifting through colors as they moved. They did not walk, they glided. Their leader introduced herself as Seraphine, her voice resonating directly in the minds of the humans present. "We have watched your world for centuries. Your wars, your peace, your silent growth. We did not interfere because we could not. Our kind is not built for conflict. But we remembered the old teachings. When a new voice speaks in the dark, listen before you judge." Elias stood across from her in the Citadel's observation deck. The stars stretched behind him. "The Empire called us primitive. They tried to enslave us. We defended ourselves. We know. We also know that you did not pursue them. You did not hunt their survivors. You let them flee and broadcast peace to the galaxy. Seraphine's colors shifted to a warm gold. That is why we are here. Not to test you. To warn you. Elias's jaw tightened. Warn us of what? The empire you destroyed was a pawn. A weapon wielded by something older. Something that has been watching your kind since before you learned to walk upright. It sent the empire to test you. You passed. Now it will come itself. The room went cold. Halia's lights dimmed involuntarily. What is it? Elias asked. Seraphine's colors flickered. Fear, or something close to it. We do not have a name for it. Your kind might call it the silence. It consumes everything, worlds, species, memories. It has devoured 17 galaxies before this one. And now, it has noticed you. Elias spent the next hour questioning the Morelli. They had no technology to fight the silence. They had no armies, no weapons, no defenses. They were observers, archivists, keepers of knowledge that had outlived civilizations. They had come to Earth not to offer salvation, but to offer information. Then help us prepare, Elias said. Tell us everything you know about this silence. Where it came from. How it moves. What stopped it before? Nothing stopped it, Seraphine replied. It merely grew bored and moved on. But it has never encountered a species like yours before. What do you mean? You are young. Reckless. You destroy your own world and then rebuild it. You fight among yourselves and then unite against an external threat. You are contradictory, illogical, impossible to predict. Her colors brightened. The silence feeds on order, on predictability, on despair. You are the opposite of all those things. That is why it fears you. That is why it will come. Elias stood in silence, processing the weight of her words. Outside the viewport, the Morelli ships hung in formation, waiting. Behind them, the stars were the same as they had always been, cold, distant, indifferent. But now, Elias knew, something was moving in the dark between them. Something ancient. Something hungry. And it was heading straight for Earth. Prepare the Citadel for long-range deployment, Elias ordered. We're not waiting for it to find us. We're going to find it first. Commander, Halia said, that is incredibly dangerous. Elias looked at Seraphine. The Morelli leader's colors settled into a steady, solemn blue. I know, he said. But humanity didn't survive this long by playing it safe. The Citadel's engines flared. The stars began to move. Somewhere in the void, the silence stirred. The hunt had begun. The journey took 6 weeks. The Citadel crossed systems that had never seen a human ship, guided by Morelli star charts older than Earth's oceans. Seraphine remained aboard, her colors shifting like a nervous heartbeat. Behind them, Earth shrank to a pinprick of light. Ahead, only darkness. The silence occupies a region between galaxies, Seraphine explained. It does not build ships. It does not send emissaries. It extends itself like a shadow, consuming everything in its path. When it reaches a system, the stars go dark one by one. Then the silence spreads to the worlds. Elias studied the tactical display. How do we fight something that doesn't have a physical form? You cannot fight it. You can only redirect it. Make it choose another direction. Give it something else to consume. We're not sacrificing anyone. Seraphine's colors flickered, sadness or resignation. That is the human contradiction we hoped to find. But hope is not a strategy, Commander. The Citadel arrived at the edge of the Silence's territory on the 43rd day. Sensors showed nothing at first. Then Halia's readings spiked. Commander, I am detecting a region of absence. No radiation. No background noise. No gravitational signature. It is as if space itself has been erased. How wide? 17 light minutes and expanding. Elias watched as the display updated in real time. The darkness was moving. Not fast, but with the inevitability of a glacier. And it was heading directly for the Milky Way. Mirelli records indicate it will reach your solar system in 11 months, Seraphine said. Your world will be the first to fall. Elias turned to his officers. Then we don't let it get that far. He activated the Citadel's subspace network, the ancient channel that connected thousands of worlds. For the first time, he broadcast not a warning, but a request. This is Commander Elias Ward of Earth. We have found the silence. It is coming for all of us. We cannot stop it alone. Send your ships. Send your weapons. Send anything you have. Or in 1 year, there will be nothing left to send. The response was immediate. Dozens of species replied, some with promises, some with fear, some with silence. But within a week, the first Allied vessels arrived. Within a month, a fleet had assembled. The battle did not happen in open space. There was no enemy to shoot, no flagship to target. The silence was a presence, a field of decay that unraveled matter and energy as it spread. The Allied fleet fired everything they had into the darkness. The darkness absorbed it all. We're not slowing it, Halia reported. It's accelerating. Elias stared at the display. The silence was hours from the first inhabited system, a Mirelli colony world with millions of souls. Seraphine stood beside him, her colors drained to pale gray. It is too late, she whispered. We should have run when we could. No, Elias said. We should have built something that could run with us. He turned to Halia. Activate the Arc Protocol. Commander, that will drain the Citadel's core. We will have no power for weapons. No power for shields. No power to return home. I know. Do it. The Citadel's core began to glow, not golden, but white. Pure, blinding white. The energy built until the entire ship vibrated. Then, with a sound that was felt rather than heard, the Citadel released a wave, not of destruction, but of creation. A bubble of light expanded outward, pushing against the silence. Where the light touched, the darkness recoiled. Not destroyed, pushed back. Forced to retreat. The Allied fleet watched in awe as the Citadel single-handedly rolled back the edge of annihilation. The silence did not fight. It fled. It's working, Halia said. Commander, it's working. Elias watched the darkness recede. But he also watched the Citadel's power reserves plummet. They had minutes. Maybe less. Open a channel to Earth, he said. Channel open. He spoke quietly, knowing that every human on the planet would hear him. This is Commander Elias Ward. Today, we did not win a war. We bought time. That is what humanity has always done. We buy time for the next generation to finish what we started. The Citadel is dying. I am staying with it. But you must keep fighting. Keep building. Keep hoping. Because one day, the silence will return. And when it does, you will be ready. He paused. This is not goodbye. This is not yet. The transmission ended. The Citadel's lights flickered. Halia's voice was soft. Commander, the core is failing. We have 30 seconds. Elias looked at Seraphine. Her colors had returned, warm gold, vibrant and alive. You are a fool, she said. A magnificent fool. Humanity's specialty, Elias replied. The Citadel's core went dark. The bubble of light collapsed. The silence, wounded but not destroyed, retreated into the void. But the Citadel did not fall. It drifted, silent, powerless, but intact. The Allied fleet surrounded it, towing it away from the darkness. And on Earth, billions of people stood in silence, listening to the echo of their commander's final words. 6 months later, the Citadel was repaired. The core was rebuilt, stronger than before. Elias Ward stood on the observation deck, watching the stars. Beside him, Seraphine's colors shifted through gentle hues. The silence has retreated beyond the galactic rim. It will return. But not soon. You have years. Perhaps decades. Then we'll use them, Elias said. We'll build. We'll prepare. We'll reach out to every species, every world, every soul willing to stand. And if they are not willing, Elias smiled. Then we'll stand anyway. That's what humans do. He looked at Earth, small, blue, fragile, hanging in the darkness. It was just one world. But it had produced something the galaxy had never seen. Not weapons, not ships, not power. Hope. Stubborn, irrational, indestructible hope. And that, Elias knew, was the one thing the silence could never consume. The stars turned. The fleet waited. And somewhere, in the deep dark between galaxies, the silence dreamed of its next meal. But humanity was awake. And it was ready. The war was not over. It had never truly begun. But when it came, Earth would not stand alone. That was the promise. That was everything. 10 years later, the silence had not returned. The Allied fleet remained on watch, but the darkness held its distance. Some believed it was gone forever. Others knew better. Commander Elias Ward retired from active duty, passing command to a younger officer, his own daughter, Captain Mira Ward. She had grown up in the shadow of the Citadel, and she carried her father's calm determination like an heirloom. Elias returned to Earth. He bought a small house by the sea, grew vegetables, and watched the stars every night. He never spoke of the battle unless asked. When children came to him with wide eyes, wanting to hear about the day humanity stood against the darkness, he told them a different story. Once, he said, there was a species that thought they were alone. They fought among themselves for thousands of years. They made terrible mistakes. They hurt each other. They hurt their world. But they never stopped trying to be better. And one day, when the darkness came, they discovered they were not alone at all. The galaxy had been watching, waiting, hoping that someone would stand. He would pause, letting the silence stretch. That species was us. And we stood, not because we were the strongest, because we were the ones who refused to fall. The children would leave, smiling, believing in heroes. Elias would return to his garden, his vegetables, his quiet life. He did not correct their belief. Heroes were not born. They were made, by choices, by sacrifice, by the willingness to stand when standing was the hardest thing in the universe. On the 10th anniversary of the battle, a signal arrived at Earth. Not from the silence. From Seraphine and the Mirelli. The darkness stirs again. It will reach your galaxy in 5 years. We will stand with you. We have told others. They will stand too. This time, you will not face it alone. Captain Mira Ward read the message aloud on the bridge of the Citadel. Her crew listened in silence. Then she gave the order. All hands, prepare for deployment. We're going to meet them at the rim. Not to fight. To welcome. The Citadel's engines flared. Behind it, hundreds of ships from a dozen species fell into formation. Humanity had spent a decade building alliances, sharing technology, forging bonds that spanned the void. The galaxy was no longer a collection of frightened empires. It was a family, and families protected their own. Elias Ward watched the Citadel depart from his seaside window. His daughter's ship grew smaller and smaller until it vanished among the stars. He did not weep. He had done enough of that in private. Instead, he smiled. "Go," he whispered. "Show them what we are." He turned back to his garden. The tomatoes needed watering. The sky was clear. And somewhere, in the darkness between galaxies, the silence waited. But humanity was no longer afraid. They had something the darkness had never encountered before. Not weapons. Not ships. Not power. Each other. And that, Elias knew, was the one thing the silence could never consume. The story did not end with the battle. It ended with a promise. A promise that every child born on Earth would learn. We are not alone. We have never been alone. And when the darkness comes, we will stand together. That is what it means to be human. That is what it means to hope. The stars turned. The fleet sailed. And somewhere, in the heart of an old man's garden, a single flower bloomed in the moonlight. He touched its petals gently. "Not yet," he whispered. "Not yet." It was the same thing his commander had said, decades ago, when the world was burning and the future was uncertain. Not yet. Not surrender. Not despair. Not the end. Not yet. The flower swayed in the breeze. The stars shone down. And somewhere in the void, The silence dreamed of its next meal. But humanity was awake. And it was ready. The war was not over. It had never truly begun. But when it came, Earth would not stand alone. That was the promise. That was everything. That was the story.